All right, good morning. Welcome to Manhunt. It is the day today. Thursday today. Okay. Do a couple things here real quick. We'll be ready to go. Wow, you are fast on the drawables, Mom. Welcome. Good morning. All right. Do a couple things here. Morning, good morning, good morning. We're going to be going through Luke chapter 21 today. And I'm trying to decide how unhinged I'm going to be through this whole conversation. Because I have a lot of thoughts. It'll be fun. Let's do this. Let's get this going. I think we're live. All right. Being unhinged is a good thing. Is that what you're saying? Great. Well, get ready. It's going to be fun. Before we do that, though, we're going through. We got a few things to work through. That's very true. I agree. It should make all of us think. Let's go through gratitude for the day. I'll start. I got a few things I'm really thankful for. Yesterday was like slightly rough, not terrible. But what I was grateful for out of it, that doesn't open. Okay. What I was grateful for out of it was the fact that I get to just rest in being imperfect. That's really, really nice. I really am thankful that I can just sit back and relax and allow the blood of Jesus to be what covers me and not have to be flawless and have it all locked into place and ready to go. So I'm grateful for that. That was scary. Oh my goodness, they're terrifying. Oh, I'm good. Let's get out of here. All right. What does this button do? Oh. Oh, they can both just land on it. All right. Hold on. Oh, that was fun. Okay, I'm also thankful for, I've got this like little, being unhinged is fun sometimes. It is. I'm excited. It'll be fun. It'll be good. I'm grateful for God's patience with me as well. I'm super grateful. I've got this like, this is a very silly thing, but I've got this little like skull made of bronze on my desk at work, and it's just always it's a reminder to me of like, in essence, how short life is. And that sounds dark, but it's not. It's not like a dark thing. And I really enjoy it. It's like one of my, I like looking at it. And then last night, I got to take my wife on a date. One of my sisters watched our kids while we went out. We took the youngest with us, but it was really, really nice. All right. Oh, is he fighting at the door? All right, hold on. Oh, man. Hold on. Will he recall him in? Let's do this. Married couple, Steve Dad. It was good. I enjoyed it. All right, let's see if we can get in here. Oh, don't do that. Oh, he already killed him. Okay, I didn't know he ended with that. Ouch. You think you can, let's see if we can parry him real quick. Not from that. Okay, almost died. All right. Good morning, Erich von Erich. Hey, man, you told me to call you something last time, and I forgot what it was. That was not Erich von Erich. Oh, okay. I didn't realize he did like a... Okay, well, that's sad. We died. So that's what I'm grateful for. Today we've got... I'm doing like a proverb of the day just because I like proverbs a lot, and I don't think I'm going to just like steamroll through the entire book of proverbs on here. So we're gonna do a proverb each day, or a few verses of one. The pick for today is Proverbs 3, starting in verse 13, and it is, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding, for the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit is better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her." Ouch. Stop hurting me. "Long life is in her right hand, and in her left are riches and honor." I like that. It's good. All right. Let's kill... Oh. Are you coming? What is he doing? Is he fighting at the door again? Okay, got that guy. Did they already kill? Oh, they did. That didn't hit anybody. That's funny. How? Oh, man, that's huge. Okay. All right, and a frostbitten. Hold on. Good morning, Mrs. Bull. Welcome. I'm all distracted because this guy's fighting me, so we're a little delayed. Train, thank you for liking it, man. All right. Ouch. I think you should be able to parry this guy. Good morning. Welcome back. Oh, a little early. A little early. Oh, somehow he missed me. Okay, never mind. He didn't miss me. Oh my goodness, I don't know how this guy works. I think I'm figuring it out. I think he's like a swing and roll. Do I know why he has elemental effects? Can you parry him, Mar? I'll parry him. Let me try it. 1 second. Hold on. He's going to jump in the air for me real quick. Oh, I have the wrong... I have my weapon dual-handed. 1 second. Ouch. Okay. Hold on. Nope. I swung way too early. Tell us, Rock Knot Collector, why does he have elemental effects? What am I playing? I am playing Elden Ring. Okay. So we read the daily proverb. I just like things about wisdom. It's good. We're going into Luke chapter 21. I got to start reading this because I'm going to be sitting here talking for a long time, and there's a lot to say about this. So, Jesus looked up. Loki genuinely just can't get hit and do damage, and you win. Amen, brother. That's pretty much the key to the whole game. That's my goal. Just don't get hit. Small hitboxes. I don't know as much about this game as you guys do. Ouch. All right, let's rock. Come over here. Hey, we got them both. Look at that. I'm trusting that you can actually parry this guy, and I'm going to try. And then we'll start reading. Oh, that hits everybody. Okay. I didn't know that. Oh. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Solid year and a half dropped it. Wow. Nice. Oh, man, I missed the roll. I'm trying to... There it is. I got it. You can parry. You're right. Terrible. Got it. Oh, that was terrible. Okay. Luke chapter 21, starting in verse 1. Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the offering box. Real quick, seemingly, this is the same moment of what we just ended with, right? Because we were just reading in Luke 20, and he's been teaching in the synagogue, and he confronts the Pharisees and the Sadducees on the resurrection, and this seemingly is in the same moment. There's nothing that seems to say this, because he just tells his disciples, hey, watch out for... beware the scribes who like to elevate themselves. They like to walk around in long robes. They love greetings. They love being important, being high. And then the very next line, we see things broken into chapters. Just so you guys are aware, chapters were not originally in this. This is something that we added to better help us to navigate through the word. And then the very next moment, Jesus says Jesus looks up and sees the rich putting their gifts into the offering box. And he saw a poor widow put in 2 copper coins. And he said, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty and all that she had to live on. A couple copper coins would be like the equivalent of pocket change. It'd be the same as a couple copper coins today. Very, very small amount of money. But what Jesus is saying here is that... God is not looking for this, you giving an abundance of your money, right? God is looking for you truly giving to a point of sacrifice, right? Oh, man. Hold on. I got my buddy just... Okay. Well, that was a short-lived one. Yeah, rock. I know that it gives me more strength. I actually have mainly dex, and so strength isn't a super big impact, you know. Okay. This also, what Jesus is talking about with this widow here is very, very reflective of just God's Old Testament love for like widows and orphans. And the fact that like he is watching out for them, he cares about them, and so he's contrasting, right? He's just said, hey, watch out for the scribes, right? Watch out for these people who look to elevate themselves, and then look over here at this woman who's here, and she's giving just the root of all that she has, and that's worth far more to me than all the abundance of all of these rich people combined. Okay, and here we go. We're gonna get into the fun stuff. And while some were speaking of the temple and how it was adorned with noble stones and offerings, he said, as for these things that you see, the day will come when there will not be left here one stone on top of another that will not be thrown down. Here at this time, so Herod's temple complex was like covered in gold and massive stones, right? So it was a beautiful, beautiful scene. Right, this was very, very well constructed, very well put together and ornate, and to where they were all marveling at it. And then he literally says, hey, I tell you the truth, this is going to all be thrown down, top to bottom. I'm wondering if I should get a different... Come over here. Oh. Okay, wow. That was so short-lived. I'm sorry, y'all. It was terrible. So beautifully adorned. This was like a shocking thing to say. But he's foretelling the future destruction of the temple, right? And that's what is leading into the rest of what's about to be said here. And they asked him, "Teacher, when will these things be, and what will be the sign when these things are about to take place?" So this is also... Oh, baby girl's about to lose it. You okay? Getting sad. You need me to hold you? Hold on. I'm wondering if we should take this thing and see where... Does this connect to a closer... That was almost a mistake. What denomination am I? I'm not super interested in defining denominational differences. This is just a time for us to get together and hang out and read the word. Yeah, we've got a lot of people from all different... Oh, good. Okay, so it was like a trick question. I like it. Thanks for testing my religious ability. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've got a lot of different people of all different backgrounds here, and we're just all reading the Bible together. It's good. Okay, you want me to pick you up? Might have to take her to mom here real quick. Ouch. I thought this was taking me to like... Nope, that'll die. Let's drop. Okay, that's just a hole. Come here. Hang out. Okay, so he says, "Teacher, when will be the sign that all these things are about to take place?" Oh, she's angry. She's not going to be happy. You guys are about to have to listen to a small child cry. You want to go upright? You want to do that? And what will be the sign when these are about to take place? And he says, "See that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time is at hand. Don't go out to them." What's wrong? Stomach hurting? Her stomach might be hurting. Okay. So, what's the first sign is that many will come saying, "Hey, the time has come." This actually happened quite often, even after Jesus' life and before. There were a bunch of people claiming to be the Messiah and attempting to lead like military revolts against the government of Rome. And so this happened multiple times. I'm actually reading a bunch of like history between the time of... Are you hungry? She might need to go eat. So yeah, between the time... Oh, thank you for following. This is a funny time for you to follow. I appreciate it, though. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay, let's go. All right. Gonna be okay. All right, I'll be right back. Everyone stay calm. We'll see. If you guys want to go scroll to something else, you're welcome to. We'll be back to cover the rest of this here in a minute. All right, we're back. We are back. All right, so he says, "Teacher, what will the signs? When will these things be, and what will be the signs?" And he says, "See that you're not led astray, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time is at hand. Do not go after them." Right? Don't go after them. Fellow dad of two is inspiring to see another dad that's also into gaming. Cool. Do you need any help with any boss? Possibly. Focus, are you still here? Oh my goodness, every single time. Get me through the door. All right. Got that one. Got that one. All right. Oh. Hold on. Hold on. Everyone roll out. We got it. We got it. And he just takes it. He doesn't even try to get out of the way. Ouch. All right. How are those hitting me? No. Nope. I rolled the wrong time. That didn't work either. Let's try again. Those were apparently terrible rolls. Terrible berries. Let's try again. Okay, I feel like I rolled through that. I'm parrying early. I'm parrying early every time. Okay, sorry. So there's going to be a lot of people that come, hey, saying, I am he, it's time. This happened quite often between the years of, his death and around 70 AD. There's quite a few people that came out and attempted to lead people and say, hey, I'm him, follow me to victory. We're going to go and we're going to fight the Romans. And he's like, hey, don't go after them. And when you hear of wars and tumults, do not be terrified, for these things must first take place, but the end will not be at once. And this was a time of a lot of battles and wars. There was quite a bit between, just so we're all on the same page, what I'm referring to is the destruction of the temple happened in 70 AD. So this would have been, Jesus died right around 33 AD. This would have been about 40 years after that. The temple is finally destroyed. It's torn down. So hey, thank you so much for the rose. It's very sweet. I appreciate it. The temple was torn down. There's actually I've been doing a ton of research on this because I'm very, very interested in it. A lot of people will take Matthew chapter 24 and they will ascribe it to the end times. And there's a chance there's a dual meaning there. But what he is definitely talking about is the coming destruction of the temple, right? He's talking at least about that. He may also be talking about more than that. There are times in the Old Testament where prophecies are both immediately fulfilled as well as have a much larger, more long-lasting meaning, and they'll be fulfilled more than one time, right? And so that it could be the case of both. But what he is talking about here is he's talking about the destruction of the temple and the destruction of Jerusalem. And then he says, hey, when you hear of these wars and the tumults and everything going on, don't be terrified. These things are going to have to, not that they're not happening, but don't be terrified. They have to take place first. And then he said to them, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilence. Another call out there. They're uncovering a ton of archaeological evidence of a pretty massive famine during the time of the Jewish War, which is when Israel fell. And so this is confirmed that what he's talking about here actually happened and took place, which I think is just super interesting. And there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. This is very interesting to me. Hold on. Oh, he just blocked all our stuff. Watch this. We got him. I don't want to die. It does bother me that he just kind of takes that on the chin. Nope, missed it. Missed it. Hold on. Oh, man, that's tough. I thought I was backed up enough. Shillbill, I appreciate you following as well. Okay, so nation wise against nation, in various places, famines, pestilence, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors for my name's sake. Now, what do we see? What do we see happen as we go and we start reading about Acts, right? Acts, we start reading through the letters to the epistles. What's happening to all of the key people that are following Christ? They're ending up in prison. They're ending up before the Caesar. You look at what happens to Paul in Acts. It is a direct fulfillment of what Jesus is saying here. His apostles and his disciples are brought before these leaders. They're brought before local governing authorities. They're brought before the religious authorities, and they're brought directly before the very highest element of Roman authority as well. And he says, hey, this is going to happen, and you're going to do it for my name's sake. This is an opportunity for you to bear witness about me to everyone. And so what he's saying is there is a coming fulfillment of judgment that's going to happen, but I'm going to utilize y'all as an intermediate intercessor. Oh, I lost my... That's sad. We're holding it down. And my guy isn't even helping me. There we Gotta move. Is he coming over here, or is he focusing on my other guy? Oh, okay, well. Hold on. Ouch. Nope, that's not gonna do anything. We got him that time. All right, and there will be earthquakes in various places. So all of this took place. This is... Nope. Man, I swing just a half second too early. Yeah, that didn't work. Half second too early late. I should just roll through him and finish him. I can beat this guy with just rolls. So this is your opportunity to bear witness. Settle it therefore in your minds not to meditate beforehand how to answer. So this is where, don't worry about how you're going to answer. For you, I will give you a mouth and wisdom which none of your adversaries will be able to withstand or contradict. So I'm sending you the Holy Spirit. Don't worry about what you're going to say or what you're going to do when you get pushed before these people, right? Don't stress about that. Don't lose sleep over that. Just rest and relax. And I'm going to send my spirit within you to speak for you. And we see this happen, right? Look at Stephen, right? And Stephen ends up dying. He's put to death. But that guy, he's filled with the Holy Spirit. He's given a sight directly into heaven, and he speaks this judgment before the religious authority of the day, and then gets to go home and be with Jesus. Hold on. All right. We're not fighting these guys more than this time. This is our last fight. It's blasphemous because I want to get it. I don't know that it's too much of a grind. I don't know what the grind is, I guess. What's the grind to get it? Just getting through Volcano Manor, or... Hey, thanks for following. I want to line these guys up. He didn't do like any damage on these guys. Hold on. Let's do this. Get him in front of him. I think it's just Reichard, but I still wonder, is it worth getting? I think Reichard's fun to fight. I'd say it is. Is he calling more guys in? Better not be. All right. Man. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to tell what he's... Oh, I always roll too early. It's terrible. All right, let's focus it. Focus in. So this is the other thing that I think is super interesting as we're reading. Just reading through this and then having the expectation of anything other than, hey, Christians who truly follow Christ are going to deal in persecution. We should flat out expect it, right? Until all of the earth is redeemed, what we should be expecting is some element of persecution. And there's a bunch of people like preaching and teaching that, hey, this is health, it's wealth, it's all good things. And then Jesus himself is like, hey, yeah, you're going to be delivered to prison. You're going to be, like tortured, but just stay strong for my name's sake, because what I am bringing is worth more to you than your life itself. Okay, we got our ability here. Man. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, some of this surrounding damage or whatever is Don't just kill him. Don't kill him. All right, this will be good. I'll just be able to focus on doing it myself. And we're not going to parry anymore. We're just going to dodge. All right. Okay, that doesn't feel like it has a long enough wind-up. It feels like there's no chance to get out of it. All right. I'm just rolling too early. I didn't feel like I should die there. Hey, random streamer. Love you too. I don't know if you're a streamer as well, but you're loved by me as well. Okay. And he says, so, after this was interesting. For I will give you a mouth of wisdom. No one will be able to speak against you. You will be delivered up even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you they will put to death. You will be hated for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head will perish. Okay. You're going to be put to death, right? So you're going to die. You're going to be hated for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head will perish. So he's speaking of eternity. Remember, theoretically, we're still in the same conversation of when he's speaking to the Sadducees about the resurrection. Right? There's no clear indication that we're in a different mode or place. This is all continuation of that same moment. And so he's talking about, hey, and by your endurance you will gain your lives. By your endurance, even unto death, you will gain your lives. And this is reflected even as there's Jesus speaking in Revelation as well. So then he says, amen, dude. I appreciate that. Then he says this. He says, hey, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near. So when Jerusalem is surrounded, know that it is. And this is the other key indication of, hey, what he's talking about here is the destruction of the temple and the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. Because he literally says, let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those who are inside the city depart, and let not those who are out in the country enter it. For these are a day of vengeance to fulfill all that is written. Alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, for there will be great distress on the earth and wrath against this people, and they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive among all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled, which this does end up happening. I got to read a little bit more, and then I'm going to go off on a tangent, so just prepare your heart for that. And there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars and on the earth. Distress of nations will in perplexity because of the roaring sea and the waves. People fainting with fear, with foreboding of what is coming on the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken, and they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with glory, with power and great glory. Now when these things take place, straighten up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Okay, so follow with me this, okay? So we've got him clearly talking about the destruction of the temple, the destruction of Jerusalem, right? At the very beginning, he makes that clear. That's what he's discussing here. What I wanted to read you guys, I've been reading a ton of... so that happens in 70 AD. Roman armies under Titus destroy the city and the temple, fulfilling Jesus' warnings. Interestingly, Titus actually tells the Roman soldiers not to destroy the temple, but based on historical evidence, what happened, or based on like historical narratives and what was written, somebody, as they were running by, tossed a torch into the temple, and it began to take flame, and there was confusion, and they tore it down. So what's really interesting though is I've been reading historians of the time. And there is a bunch of stuff in here that I had no idea was an aspect of history. So there are two main historians I want to talk about, one of which is Josephus. So Josephus was of the priestly line. He was Jewish. He was a Jew. He was also he was called a defector by a lot of the Jews because he did not want he did not want the Jews to fight against Rome, and a bunch of the religious leaders of the day wanted to go out and actively fight. And for a while, he actually became a general, a commander of one of the Jewish armies, and then he was taken captive by Rome. He ended up trying to intermediate between Rome and Israel. And so he was not a Christian, bear that in mind. Not a Christian by any stretch of the imagination. And then we have Tacitus, who was a straight-up Roman historian of the time. So we have these two historians, neither of which were believers, right? Neither of which had faith in Jesus. But what's interesting is what they write about in the time of... He's going to kill me. Oh, man, I knew it. What they write about is very, very interesting, especially as we look at this, as you look at Matthew 24, even as you look at some of Revelation, there's some very, very interesting things in here that both of them write about. And I'll read you a few of them. So first off, we've got him writing about a sword that appears in the sky. So it was when a star resembling a sword stood over the city Jerusalem, and a comet which continued for a year. Now, one call out there. So this is around 66 AD, a few years before the total destruction. But a star appearing as a sword, you know what else looks like a sword is a cross. But it seems to appear into the sky and last for a year. Bear in mind, this guy is not Christian. There are a lot of aspects of Elden Ring that have plain satanic imagery and things of the occult. Yeah, and this may not be the place, man. I know that there are people, we get a lot of people in here that have conviction about this, and I definitely don't want you to be led outside of your conviction. And so if this isn't the place for you, that's great. I've prayed through this a lot, and I don't have the conviction not to do it. And so if it doesn't work out for you and it doesn't fit with what your conviction is, I praise you to move on, man. I think it's great. Okay, but so Josephus is writing. He's writing in the time of the Jewish War. He's writing specifically about the Jewish War, and he literally partakes in writing about it because he says that there was too much like writing with open either hatred toward Israel, toward the Jewish people, or hatred toward Rome. And he's like, I just want to write something in between because he spent times on both sides. So he writes about this sword that appears in the sky, a comet that lasts for a year. A lot of people believe this is Halley's Comet. But after Jesus is saying all this here in Luke, here in Matthew 24, even some of the stuff in Revelation seems to really fit here. And he writes at the beginning, so number 2, again, before the revolt, so right before the war and the destruction of the temple, randomly, so he says, at the time when people were assembling for the feast of unleavened bread on the 8th day of the month of Xanthias, Nisan, in the 9th hour at night, 3 a.m., so brilliant a light shone around the holy altar and the sanctuary of the temple that it seemed to be broad daylight, and this continued for half an hour. And then he says this, he says, oh, thanks, TJ, I appreciate it. By the inexperienced, this was regarded as a good omen. But by the sacred scribes, it was at once interpreted in accordance with the later events. So he says, hey, some of us were seeing this as like a positive thing. It's like, oh, look at this light showing around the temple. And then the people who of like knowledge and knowing were like, this is terrible. This means the destruction of this place is coming. And then he writes, so that happens at the same feast, just after the second sign. A cow that had been brought for a sacrifice, so a heifer that was brought to be sacrificed, gave birth just before it was killed to a lamb in the midst of the court in the temple. Remember, this is a historian that is not writing from the perspective of Christianity, right? This is just a Jewish historian writing about what happened here. So he says, hey, like this heifer gives birth to a lamb, which is incredibly, incredibly symbolic. And I've never even heard of any of this until I started researching this stuff. And then what happens is the eastern gate of the inner court, it was of brass and massive, and it was closed towards evening, could scarcely be moved by 20 men, fastened with iron bars on each side. It had bolts in which it sunk into a great depth, right? And so like 20 men it took to open it. This gate was observed at the 6th hour of the night, midnight, to have opened of its own accord. And the watchman of the temple ran and reported this matter to the captain, and he came up with difficulty and succeeded in shutting it. This again, to the uninitiated, seemed to be the best of omens, as some suppose that God had opened the gate of blessing, right? The doors being open, this is good stuff. But the learned understood that the security of the temple was dissolving of its own accord, and that the opening of the gate meant a present to the enemy, interpreting the signs in their own minds as indicative of the coming desolation. So this is all being written about by this Jewish historian at the time. And then this is what's crazy. So Jesus has just been writing. This is why I'm talking about all this. There's a bunch that goes into this. But Jesus has just been writing about how, hey, when you see the signs in the sky, the Son of Man coming on the clouds. A lot of people, when they hear the word coming on the clouds, they're viewing like white puffy clouds. Historically, as God is writing about coming on the clouds, that is a judgment element, right? That's a judgment authority. So we're talking about like massive storm clouds. The coming on the clouds is a sign of like terror and judgment and fear. So what he's talking about here. So he's like, hey, when you see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, he's talking about him coming in judgment, in authority, and in terror. Ben, thank you for following. So he says, hey, you'll see him coming on the clouds. You'll see the signs in the sky. So first off, we see the star that shows up for a year, shaped like a sword or a cross, depending on what Josephus understood at the time. But then, right here, we've got this moment where he writes, again, not many days after the festival, on the 21st of Artemisium, I can't pronounce everything, there appeared a miraculous phenomenon passing belief. Indeed, what I'm about to relate would, I imagine, have been deemed a fable were it not for the narratives of eyewitnesses and the subsequent calamities that deserve to be signalized. So he's saying, hey, nobody would believe this except for the fact of how many people in Jerusalem saw it. For before sunset, throughout all parts of the country of Judea, chariots were seen in the air and armed battalions hurtling through the clouds encompassing the city. So they flat out see armies in the clouds, and he's not the only one who writes about it. So the Roman historian Tacitus also confirms this. So you've got this other guy, totally unconnected, doesn't have anything. He's on the other side of the war, and here's what he writes: there were many prodigies pre-signifying their ruin, talking about the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, which was not averted by all the sacrifice and vows of the people. So hey, no matter what they did, they couldn't sacrifice enough to stop this from happening. Armies were seen fighting in the air with brandished weapons. And then he says, fire fell upon the temple from the clouds. Josephus writes it as like a bright light showing around it. The doors of the temple were suddenly opened. At the same time, there was a loud voice saying that the gods were removing, which was accompanied by the sound of a multitude going out. So Tacitus writes this, and even Josephus writes about the voices as well. He says, moreover, at the feast, which is called Pentecost, the priests, all 24 of them, on the inner court of the temple. Thanks for following. It's Twill. It's T-Will. Welcome. On the inner courts of the temple by night, their custom was, in the discharge of their administrations, reports were that they were conscious first of a commotion, so like a great noise, like a lot of it translates as like an earthquake, which he says there will be earthquakes. And after that, a voice of a host, like an army, saying, we are departing hence from here. Anyway, super, super interesting. So all of these things happen. Both sides of this conflict and battle write about these things happening, and Jesus is telling them preemptively. He's like, hey, here are the signs to come when this stuff happens. And in Matthew 24, he says, I tell you the truth, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. And then we see historians writing about the things taking place that he's been talking about, and the signs in heaven and the coming destruction. And then when Rome does attack, right, the entirety of this place is torn like stone from stone down. And he's calling that. And he's like, hey, but between now and then you have time, right? You're going to be called before the religious and governing authorities to speak to them, to bring some to me. I can't roll. This is going to be a reading time because I'm getting ticked about these. All right. This is also similar what he's talking about here. Like the prophets would repeatedly warn that unfaithfulness would bring judgment upon Israel, and then he's bringing about the kind of full the sign of that. And then the prophetic cosmic signs he's talking about, those things happen in Isaiah and Joel and Daniel, describing God's divine intervention. And so the key thing here is like when he's talking about coming on the clouds, this is not like these white puffy clouds, everything's going to be good and he's going to take people up. It's like, no, this is a cloud of judgment, right? It's dark, it's ominous, it's a storm. Okay, and it says when you see the Son of Man coming on the clouds, this is actually, I want to read Daniel 7. I saw in the night vision, and behold, the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and he was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, and all the peoples and nations and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Super, super interesting and good. So he's like, hey, he's coming on the clouds. When he comes on the clouds, he's going to take dominion. He's going to take authority. And then there's actually Titus, who is the one who went and like led the Roman revolt. It's written that he actually rejected the wreath of victory. So when he goes and does this thing, he says, hey, I won't take the wreath of victory because essentially I was just used by God to bring his wrath on these people, because so many of the signs were so common at that time that he wouldn't even accept that it was his victory, but that he was just used. Now, that's historical documentation, could or could not be absolutely accurate, but I do find it really, really interesting. Okay, so he says to them a parable. Hey, he didn't hit me that time. It was good. All right. Dr. Witnesser, if he was good. I don't know what that means. Welcome, though. I'm happy to have you here. Oh, don't do that. I'm going to die. Nope, I'm still alive. You got that one. I barely got out of that. Come here. Oh, look at that. I got a stagger. Way to go. What's Dr. Witnesser? Ouch. Hey, we're going to get him this time. I almost died. Oh, I'm going to die. Hold on. All right, we're here. We're good. We're good to go. Oh, I missed. Oh, we got him. Great job, everybody. Good work. Try to get in earlier tomorrow. Welcome, Tristan. Still going through Mark every morning. We're going through Luke. Unless you're saying you're going through Mark every morning. That's great. Well, good job. Okay. And he told them a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they come out and leaf, you see for yourselves and know that summer is already near. You know the sign of the times. You know the sign of the seasons. So also when you see these things take place, you know the kingdom of God is near. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Oh, he says it here. Sorry, he says it here in Luke. So what we're looking at is him saying, and this is why I'm making this assertion here, is like, hey, what we're talking about here, this is not necessarily talking about like further end times that we get to see in the future. Now it's there's a case to be made that like, hey, God's prophecy is truer than true, so this stuff repeats over time. Some people believe that, and that's great. Hey, thank you for following. Jesus is King. That's very true. He is. But what he is talking about here, he's like, hey, this generation's not going to pass away. He makes all these proclamations over what's going to happen. The temple's going to be torn down, and then all of it happens, right? These historians that have nothing to do with Christianity write about the fulfillment of these of these prophecies that happened between 66 and 70 AD. And he says, hey, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And we see that come to fruition as well. We're still sitting here today, thousands of years later, reading his words as we move forward. Yeah. And even when he talks about the Son of Man coming on the clouds, that's him reaffirming. He's becoming more and more and more open to reaffirming his divinity and his godhood, right? This is happening consistently and regularly. And so there's a big thing here all through Luke 21, this kind of already and not yet eschatology. Hey, the kingdom of God is at hand. It's with you, but it's also coming, right? It's here, but it's also coming. And so prepare yourself, prepare your heart. And like this is happening. Be watchful. And I think that's what we read about next. Watch for yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and cares of this life. Can we level up? We can. We should level up. Probably need to do this. We don't have anything in here yet. Temporarily boost stamina. Do that. Boost resistance. Temporarily boost poise. That's what we want right there. We're using the blasphemous blade. Okay. So, watch for yourself lest your heart be weighed down with dissipation, drunkenness, cares of this life. And that day comes upon you suddenly like a trap, right? Look at these people who, what Josephus was writing about, it's like, hey, to the uninitiated, to the unknowing, this was viewed as like a positive thing. Hey, this is good. This is all good. For it will come upon all those who dwell on the face of the whole earth, but stay awake at all times, praying that you may have strength to escape all these things that are going to take place and to stand before the Son of Man. And every day he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and lodged on the mount called Olivet. And early in the morning, all the people came to him in the temple to hear him. So one of the things that we need to realize, and that stands out to me, is that watchfulness, right? Watchfulness is a spiritual discipline. It is a discipline that we are watching for the coming of our Savior, that he is coming to completely establish his rule and authority, and we're supposed to be ready, right? This is that already and not yet duality of these things. So it's good stuff. There's a bunch to learn there. Life application. We got a couple more minutes here, and then I gotta go and get ready for. I'm going to like a leadership institute thing today, so that'll be fun. God values sacrifice over any amount, right? If I give $10 million to somebody, but it's a tiny portion of what my actual amount, like what I actually have, he values that less than. Do I already have both? Can we go to the Halig tree? Hold on. I don't know where those are. Seems like there'd be a section that looks like a key. Is there? Oh man, so we can go fight Melania. That'll be good. Okay. So God values the actual sacrifice, right? This woman who gave 2 coins worth nearly nothing, right? Worth almost nothing at all. He values much higher than somebody giving out of their wealth. Oh, hello. Lord Mikola. All right, cool. Cool. Okay. The other thing is, like, Christ cares about faithfulness during hardship, right? Jesus is preparing his followers for massive persecution and challenges, and we as believers today still need to be prepared, right? We still need to be ready for persecution, for hardship. If we have an expectation that everything is just going to be good and easy for us as Christians, it's not setting us up for success in the kingdom. And that's an important thing to remember, and to contrast against what a lot of speakers say today, which is that everything should go well for Christians and you shouldn't have any issues. The other thing is not to panic during global turmoil, right? There's a bunch of people, I see people all the time online talking about how, hey, this is a sign of the end times. Even the stuff going on between the U.S., Iran, and Israel, and all these things that are happening. They're like, hey, this is it. This is the end. It's coming. Prepare yourself. And the reality is, guys, Jesus is saying we should be watchful at all times, right? We should be watchful at all times. We should not be fearful when there are wars and rumors of wars, for those things must take place. They're going to happen. We do not need to be afraid. We don't need to be concerned and consumed, but we need to trust in Christ, right? Trust in him. And he's like, what stands out to me. And so I've been really reading Revelation a lot. I've got to go through and do like a full on, it'll be like a 10-hour video on Revelation of what I've been learning from it. Cause I'm starting to love the book. Like, it's becoming one of my favorite books. But one of the things, hello. Oh, whoops. It's kind of a mistake. I was trying to parry him. One of the things that stands out to me, people write about. Hold on. I don't even know how that missed me. People write about being fearful of like the coming time, right? Those who believe that, hey, this is going to happen here in the future. One of the things I would call out is at the moment when John talks about the scroll, right? And no one was there to open the scroll. And it says, and like, bear in mind, when he opens the scroll, what comes out? There's like famine, there's war, there's death, there's pestilence. There is all of these crazy, like seemingly horrible things that happen. But you know what happens when they look, right? This is right before Christ comes in looking like a lamb who had been slain. Right before that, they look for anyone on heaven or on earth who is worthy to open the scroll, and no one is found. And you know what he does when the scroll can't be opened? He weeps. He weeps bitterly that no one is found to open the scroll, because what God is bringing about, right? And even what we're reading here today, what God is bringing about is his plan for the redemption of mankind. And so there is this despair in the heart of John, because no one can open this thing and actually bring it to fruition. And so if we look at these proclamations over what's going to happen at the end time, or over what's going to happen as Christ prepares to return, and we do anything other than hope desperately that it happens, we have the wrong belief system. John's flat out shown everything that happens, and man, he is stoked beyond belief to see that scroll opened, the seals broken, and God to have his way with the world. And so it's just a good thing for me to remember that it's like, man, we may not totally understand the reality of what all this is or how it works, right? And it's not about us being comfortable, right? There's a chance that it could be about him redeeming us through the fact of things going terribly, right? Him restoring people back to him by letting things go poorly. Usually people come back to God when things aren't going super well, right? Because they actually can perceive their need of him. I can't remember how to get over there. That's what I'm trying to find. Oh, and then and I guess that leads to my final thing of application, is that hope should shape how we live, right? Hope should be the key indicator of who we are, how we live, and what we're driven by. If you're driven by fear in any way, that is not of God, right? God says, fear not, hundreds of times throughout the Bible. And so remembering that, like, anything that leads you to fear and to turmoil, especially as we talk about, like, the things of the end and end times things, if it's leading you to fear, it's coming from a place that is not of him, because that's not what he calls us to be. He says to be watchful, right? But we're going to be... Oh my goodness. I hate it. I hate the bird. We got him. I think we're going to go. Where is the lift that I need to go and use? Is it this lift? I think it is. It's going to be crazy if we go and do Melania now. Okay, tomorrow we're going to be going through Luke chapter 22, which we're getting close. What is it, 24 chapters total? I don't remember. Yeah, I think 22 is where Jesus is betrayed, if I'm not. That'll be exciting. Good. So we'll be back here tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. my time. That's Mountain Time, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Going through Luke 22, and then we got to figure out where we're going next. So that's the next thing that I need is we need votes for what's the next book we're going to start perusing through. What does this do? Switch action. Hoist secret medallion. Peace. Erich, do you have an idea? Book of Job. Job is a really good book. Job is a long book as well. That would be a fun one to do with a lot of insight. I thought about Deuteronomy too, if we're going Old Testament. But we could do Job. I like Job. Mrs. Bull, thanks for being here. Bull's mom, thank you for being here. I appreciate all y'all. And I'm excited for tomorrow. I agree. There's some people who are very concerned about our salvation playing this game. But we should go through Job. That'll be fun. So maybe we'll do that next. That'll be stretching for me too, going through it. There are no atheists in foxholes from Smith. I've heard that saying before. Yeah. All right. With that, I'm going to head out. Hey, thank you so much for following, Hypotnik. What is it? Hypnotic. There we go. I got there. It took me a while. All right. You guys have a great day. Keep Christ the center focus of your life. Stay in step with the Spirit. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time. All right. Bye.